Hello, it's Thursday, and we are now reviewing the stock market for August 15th. And we are inviting everyone to join us. And so far, I already have a list of stocks we will review based on uh, the responses you guys shared earlier. Thank you to those who made a comment, and I already have the initial list. And let's see who are the first joiners. All right, Marco Juan. Good evening. Who else do we have here? Please don't hesitate to drop a comment, say hi, so we know who you are. Good evening, guys. So while we wait for the others to join, I'd like to just briefly do a quick rundown of the stocks, the initial list that I have here. But go ahead and drop a comment in case we still have time. Tonight, I will also cover what you have mentioned here. Julie and Brandy, hello. Good evening. Now, I have nickel, SCC, Fen, East West, Now, PPG, MVT, BPI, SM, ABA, MEG, CAB, FEN, GSMI, RS, IRC, FLI, MRSGI, which is also Dewey's request, PPG, oh, I already have that, Ferro, CPG, SMPH, URC, let's add SM, I saw SM earlier. What about you guys? PIP. Okay, good. Marco Juan, let's add that. And who else? ISM, of course, for Hector. Okay, let's start. Sure, let's start. Let's talk about the PSEI first. Oh, sorry. So I see Lisa also has one here. Lisa and Dabalos. Good evening. Prim for Lisa. Did you have ICT, and AC. Okay. All right, let's talk about PSEI. I think this is going to be a good story for PSEI because for the past 2 days, we've seen a green candlestick for PSEI. And at the start of the market, the buyers, I mean, the sellers are trying to dominate. But when the market ended, it was indeed the sellers were dominating at the start of the market. But when the market ended, it was in fact the buyers who won in the tug of war. That's why you see a green candlestick. Okay. So in this case, what I will show you here for those who are very new to the stock market, uh, I'll for every candlestick, if you're in a daily chart, this would signify that this is worth 1 day. Okay, 8:15 and one candlestick is the previous day, and this is 8:13 candlestick. If you see a green candlestick, this means that this price started at this level, 7719.11. It rallied up and down, and then when the market ended, it ended at 7828. So the other day, I mentioned that potentially the price for the PSEI would reach the 7,600 plus level. And we are correct. For today's market, at one point, it reached the 7,600 level. So I would have to say that this is trying to create a support in this level. But definitely, I would have to say that we are already in a good position for PSCI. The reason why I said that is when the price is going down here, actually here, price was going down, your RSI is already showing an upward direction. So that would mean using the indicator that I have here with me, it's the relative strength index, RSI. I forgot. I just mentioned that the other day. Um, when the price is moving down, the RSI is moving up. So I would have to say that we are now about to face a bounce for RSI. However, we are still moving below the MA20 line. And by the way, what you see here is a Bollinger Band. That's another indicator that I partner with my RSI. And in the Bollinger Band, I use the default settings where you have the red line here as your MA20 line. When I say MA20, that's the moving average in the past 20 days. Now, when you're moving, when the movement is happening underneath or below the MA20 line, your MA20 line becomes your resistance. So in this situation, we are expecting that potentially um, in the coming days, we're expecting some upward movement in the index, but you will have a resistance around this level, which is your MA20 line, around 8,000 level. So once that breaks, then you have a good story there. We might have a continuous uptrend for the index. And for the benefit of the new joiners or those who are new in the stock market, which is our target audience for this page, the index is the basket where it contains, like it's a basket of companies, what that we consider the blue chip companies, companies that are established in the Philippines. And there are 30 established stocks that are part of the index. You have Jollibee, Metro Bank, SCC, what else? Just go back to my previous day's post and you will see that. You also have MPI, Meralco, those popular stocks. And let me just segue to a question that was posted or that was sent to me earlier. Um, she asked, is it because someone asked earlier which market am I active? And I said that with the setup that I have right now, where I work in the morning and then at night I do this, so I am more comfortable um, trading in the US market. But she asked me, so which one is better then? Should I engage in the US market or the Philippine market? And I said I was recommending that for beginners, like majority of us here, it is better to start investing, or maybe if you want to be a trader someday, you start with the Philippine market. And the reason why I said that is because you have visibility on the news. You have easy access on how these companies are performing because you see them, you're familiar with them. So it's better to start in the Philippine market. The downside is that we have very minimal movement day in and day out, a 3%, less than 1% movement, because the volume in the Philippine market is way, way smaller than the US market. Imagine our the entire Philippine Stock Exchange, the total volume is just equivalent to one company in the US. So imagine that. So if they're just big players, or they call the whales in the Philippine stock exchange, like a group of friends, rich friends, and then they want to put all their funds in just one stock, you will notice that that particular stock will shoot up massively for the day. That is because they can easily, sad to say, but it's easily manipulated. Okay, for the lack of the better word, but that's the fact. So big people, big players, they put their money in one stock, and then it creates that massive movement. But in the US market, it's hard to do that. You will not see like 50% jump, or this is what we call a ceiling play sometimes in the Philippine Stock Exchange, where the movement can be very erratic. One day worth of movement is 50%, 30%. But on average, those regular moves, it's just 1%, 2%. So that's the pros and cons. Now, let me continue. You're about to face a bounce, right? And then if your ceiling is here, let me talk about the first stock. It's nickel. Nickel is, we are trying to fill this gap. And normally in the stock market, when you see a gap up, the price will go back and fill that gap. Sometimes the gap is filled the next day. But there are times when you will have a setting like this. It takes several days before the price goes back to that gap and then fill the gap. But what I can see here is that we have a potential support at the 2.43 area. Let's see how it looks like in the weekly. Okay, in the weekly chart, we have another price to watch out for is around this area. Okay, so you have two levels to watch out for: 2.43 and 2.37. Next would be SEC. Your SEC is trying to consolidate in this area, just moving within the range. And we are seeing, of course, it's near the MA20 line. We have to make sure that this price, or the MA20 line, is not, it does not go lower than the MA20 line, and the lowest that it should go down is around 22.31 area. But if that MA20 line gets broken, then potentially you are going to have, by the way, I'm in the weekly chart. So this is the story for the day with SEC. So it was trending downwards, and then it bounced, but used, okay, your MA20 became your resistance, and it's like a ceiling that when it gets hit, it goes back. It retraces downwards. So it retraced the next day, and then at the start of the market, when the market opened, there were still selling pressure, but it ended the day with buyers winning the tug of war. Now you will have, so this is a potential bounce. Now again, be extra careful because we're still in a downward trend for this one. So when you have a downward direction, your resistance is also showing as a downward direction. Oops. See that? Okay. And then your support is also showing us a downward direction. So that's the reason why it bounced around that area. Now, your condition here is that you draw that line for your imaginary resistance. If a price opens beyond that line, then that would mean there is a breakout. It has already broken out of that range, and then you will now experience a brand new trend, meaning it will continue to move upward. What happens if this stock price starts lower than 22.31, right below here? So that would mean your downward trend is not over yet. Make sense? So just observe, create that a descending triangle. So this is what we call a descending triangle. Draw that resistance around that area, and then draw this. The reason why we created the line over here is the fact that you have a support here. Price landed in that area. Also here, it got hit several times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That price was hit around that area several times, and that's why I made a support in that area. And it doesn't have to be a precise 22.31 because it's an area. But draw the nearest, draw the line where you have most of the action or most of the price stopping at. And this one is really obvious, so that's why I placed it there. Next, SEC, FEN. How's everyone doing so far? Did I say okay? I said hi to Hector, Lisa, Dabalos, Les Siram, Ginnard, MPI. Let me see for Ginnard. I have MPI. Okay. Good evening, Lisa King, Christopher Costco. Okay. Let me continue the greetings in a little while. So did I talk about FEN? Not yet. Okay. For FEN, looks like we already have a breakout for FEN. This is a good example of a breakout play for FEN because you have here. Price was hit several times in this area, 2, 3, and then 4. Now, for this particular day, the price opened at that area and then started moving above it. So I would have to say this is a good breakout play. If you want to enter in this stock, enter near 2.79 or even up to 2.84. Because I understand if there's a breakout, then your resistance will now act as your new support. So tendency is it will move in this direction and then it will touch this area multiple times before it moves up again. So if you want to enter, do not enter around this area because that is already very high. Wait for it to settle down and stabilize in your support area, which is around 2.78, 2.79, or even up to 2.80. GSMI. For GSMI, this is a reverse, a breakout on the downside. Why? Price hits this level multiple times. Same here, but today it opened around the same area, but most of the action happened on the downside. See that? But let us see how it looks like in the weekly chart. So in case it moves further down, my recommendation is observe how the price moves around 47.18 because it might bounce. It might already bounce around that area because this is your MA20 line in a weekly chart. So please understand that every candle in a weekly chart means 1 week. So who knows? We might end the week with this candle touching your MA20 line and then finish the week up here. So potentially all you have to do is wait for next week and see if there's a confirmation. Another green candlestick would be a good confirmation that we now have an official bounce. But in the meantime, these are the two prices that I want you guys to observe. Actually, you can disregard the first one because it already got broken. So just watch out for this. So I'm just being conservative for GSMI. Wait in the 47.18 area. Okay. Next one, IRC. IRC. IRC has triggered the lower Bollinger Band with a negative income. Now, if you're just going to look at the technical analysis, so I would have to say we might still encounter some more downward movement for this stock, but watch out for this level. I'm going to move this upward, okay? Because I see a resistance here. So we might see a potential bounce in that area, 1.25, and we're at the weekly chart because you are already nearing your oversold area. When you say oversold, we already had a lot of people selling this stock and you are already reaching a level where the market feels that it is already cheap and oversold is here and overbought is up here in RSI. When you say overbought around this level, the price is becoming more expensive. See that in this area? Now, sometimes you're oversold or overbought. It stays there for several days. In this example, we have an oversold level or overbought level for several weeks. Now, you are nearing the oversold. I'm not saying that right away you can enter in the stock because we cannot yet see a confirmation that it will already bounce. So we might see some more movement, and I'm thinking that you might, okay? And we cannot 100% say because you cannot predict 100%, okay? We are not able to predict the movement of the market by 100%. We are just basing it in the indicators that we see. And take note, there are a lot of indicators. You can have moving average, RSI. You even have MACD. Yesterday, I forgot his name, mentioned something about AOTS or the alignment of the stars. So there are a lot, but using the indicators that I am more comfortable with, it's saying that it can dip further. Now, there are other indicators and it can communicate or it can relay a different message. So that's why there's a variance in in the analysis sometimes. I may be right for some of the stocks. I may not be correct in some of the stocks. Or sometimes my prediction will happen in the next 2 days. See the difference? So there's a small variance because of the tools that we are using. So going back here, your RSI might go further down because this Bollinger Band has been triggered and it does not give us any sign that we have reached a possible support. This could be, but your RSI is not telling us anything yet that it might reverse. So I am conservative and I see your previous resistance here could act as a possible support in the coming weeks. Yep. So stay light with IRC for now. Your next is FLI, Philinvestland. The earnings for FLI is positive, so we're good. Your volume here is starting to move up. Volume means the amount traded for this stock is, that's the volume. Notice this one. So you see here that your volume is starting to move up, and no one, as the price goes down, no one's selling it anymore. And you are now in the oversold level, so that's nice. What we're waiting here is that, okay, this is the power of the Bollinger Band. So you are right here. The price ended outside. So what we need to see, but in the coming days, ideally within the next 3 days, you should have a candlestick that's green and which is taller than this candlestick. Oh my. Can you move away first? Here. Oops. It should be a green candlestick, and it has to be bigger or higher than the previous candlestick. So it's like engulfing, right? Engulfing the previous day, and it has to end inside the Bollinger Band, like this one. And we can now say that we are about to face a bounce. And your next possible resistance here that I can see is around this area. See that? Or this one. Because we have here. Because anyway, this will move, so I have a feeling around this area. 1.84 to 1.87, but that's close, right? Let me move this. Sometimes the mouse is not moving. Okay, here, around that area. So just wait for one more day, one green candlestick within the next 3 days. Watch out for it. So the goal is it has to end inside and it has to be higher than this day's candlestick. MRSGI. How's everyone so far? Okay, so Aileen said SM. I already have that. Tom. Okay, so let's take note. Tom, you have DMC, MRC, APX po, but let's try to finish everyone tonight. So this is really starting to become interesting. Our audience is growing every day, and that really makes me feel so happy. I'm glad to be of help, guys, but only at night because I have work in the morning. The revenue for MRSGI is really impressive for Q2. And I see that you have a support in this area. So I keep on saying support and resistance. For the new joiners, when we say support, that's an area where it price lands, or that is an area where price reaches the level several times, like this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that is normally an area where price bounces back up. And your resistance is an area that acts like a ceiling, that when it reaches that level, it goes downward. It's like a ceiling that it gets hit, it goes downward again. Now, the rule is when that ceiling is broken, that now becomes your new support. But in this situation, it's like moving within that range. And if you're interested in getting in the stock, try to get in near the 2.48 to 2.50 level. So I would have to say you are still in a good level, because this is just 2.33 above the support that we've plotted. So if you can haggle like 2.50, 2.52, even better. Now let's look at, see, your RSI is moving up. Price is just on the same level. So that's one pattern. Price is landing on the same area around the support area, but your RSI is already showing us an upward direction. So that means we're starting to gain momentum or volume in this stock. People are starting to invest in this company. Faro. So the price moved up yesterday, but it was temporary, meaning it started in this price. I would assume yesterday it started at that level, this level, and then price moved up here. And normally, um, who gets victimized here? The newbies, because there's a term that we call fear of missing out. We feel that the price will continue to move up, and if you don't understand how to read these charts, you wouldn't know that you are already buying at a resistance level, and any moment from now the price will go down. So that's what they call EPIT. And instantly, in an instant, you are an investor. And because this is your hard-earned money, and this is your first time, it's hard for you to cut your loss. So I don't know. Hopefully, the price will recover anytime soon, so that you could go break even. Now, we wouldn't know how long it takes for this stock to move up, but looking at this chart in today's movement, we have a bounce in the MA20 line. So this is promising. Hopefully, the movement on the upside will continue in the coming days here, because right now we are still in a constricted Bollinger Band. So hopefully this will continue to move up, because in today's candlestick, it's a bullish candlestick. Yep. Move up, same price. So it in the 15-minute chart, last 15 minutes before the market closed, okay, from this price 4.81, it jumped above the MA20 line, and it's at 4.90. So let's see, hopefully this one gives us another green day tomorrow. but be extra careful because it's a Friday. There's a practice normally that happens in the Philippine Stock Exchange the when it's a Friday. Some traders are taking profit, so you would notice some stocks declining on a Friday. But hopefully, this is not one of them. But I'm not very familiar with Fero though, so please go ahead and do your research about the background of this company. CPG. CPG is. We want to plot our support first. So you are now in the support area near the sold, and it's trying to make this stock is trying to make an attempt to move on a bullish. It's trying to give us a bullish movement, but still making a support in the 0.55 area. So it's trying to stabilize in that area, building its support before it moves further upward. Now, I would have to say that this stock will have a possible bounce on or a possible resistance at the 0.60 area, which is your MA20 line. Okay, so if you're interested in this stock, give it a try at around 0.55. And if you're a trader, make sure you set a stop loss at a level where you can manage, your loss. Are you okay to lose a 3% or a 5%? Normally, traders would set their stop loss level at 3 to 5% below their entry price. And mind you guys, when we say entry price, you do not just enter anywhere, because if you enter around the resistance area, your 3% can be easily consumed within a few minutes or even hours. So make sure you enter at the support area, and then that's where you plot your 3 to 5% stop loss level. Okay. So saying hi to the rest of you guys. You have Joel, Gemma, Ruel, Reynaldo, Miguel. So I'll try to cover all of these stocks. Edward, Evaris, Kings, Ron. Okay. But the next that I have on my list is SMPH. SMPH did some massive selling pressure here for several days now. Hold on. My internet is kind of challenged. Can you turn off your Roblox? Please turn off your Roblox. Hold on, guys. My internet is a bit challenged. Trick. Turn off, turn off. Okay, we're back. Now, let us wait and see. I'm looking at the weekly chart, so I see a bigger picture here. Around this area, not this area, but this area. 32.46. If you're interested in this stock, wait for it to reach the 32.46 area. If the market does not give us a chance, then at least maybe near that area. But now, if that area is broken, that support is broken, the next possible line would be, wow, it's far, around 30. Let's see this. Maybe this could act as your next possible support. Okay. Looking at the daily chart, it has triggered the lower Bollinger Band. So that is why I can say that the next possible area to watch out for is 32.46 and 30.70. Now, it doesn't mean that when that price gets hit, you right away enter. You wait for the next green candlestick or an engulfing candlestick to make sure that you are about to reverse. So wait for a sign of reversal, especially around the RSI. The pattern, the RSI pattern should also indicate that you are now about to face a reversal. So go ahead and explore my page. I have posted a lot of learning materials where you can refer to, especially for the RSI. I think that was the very first uh, post I had back in June. Next, URC. For URC is trying to, break the MA20 line. So this one tried to break it. It ended above the MA20. The next day, though, which is today, it started at that level and then up and down, and then it ended at that level. So this movement would mean that this stock or the buyers and sellers are still in a close fight. No one's winning yet. So we have to observe tomorrow. If most of the action happens below MA20, that would mean your downward movement is not over yet. Okay, but if the price starts above MA20 and all actions happen above MA20, then you are off to a good start. We are about to face a uh, reversal or a bounce on a weekly chart. See that? So hoping, so we're on a weekly time frame. This might happen in the coming weeks. So it might not happen tomorrow, but in the coming weeks, let's see if we have another green candlestick, and then you can say that in a weekly time frame, your uptrend is still ongoing. Your support when you are in an upward trend also moves up. This is how you draw your support when a stock is in an upward trend. Your support should also move. It goes up, bounces, goes up, hits that, and bounce back up. Same thing here. So hopefully, in the coming weeks, you will have a good bounce. The next one is SM. Let's look at SM. Uy. I am bullish for SM. Of course, this is SM. You'll never go wrong with SM. There are so many SM malls in the country. See, it's nice to. That's the beauty of engaging in the Philippine stock market because you're very familiar with these companies, and if you know that these companies are established, these dips, they're just noise. You can use them or you can invest in these companies for long term. And right now, it has broken the MA20 line and a strong green candlestick here for the day. So I would assume that we are still going to see some more green candlestick in the coming days. Provided, okay, what I want to see, the condition is because we have a temporary resistance here. Let's just hope that the price starts above 1020 for us to say that it is really a confirmed upward trend now. Otherwise, your possible bounce area is your MA20 line, which is the 995 level. That is your support area. Next, PIP. PIP is sitting right at the MA20 line, and I would have to say this is a possible bounce. We might see some more movement on the uh, movement above the MA20 line. And your volume is starting to grow. You see that? Your volume is starting to grow. Here, let me see. What is this? The revenue is good. So Pepsi Cola is now trying to give us a good sign here. Next, ISM. ISM. I would still want to stick to this area of focus. This is my area of focus. Condition is that has to be sustained. We should not break 4.92. Otherwise, we might land here. We might land in this level, which is not a good story. I'm thinking because they're not live yet. I mean, they're not accepting because this stock is linked to the third telco. So I'm assuming that this stock will really, we will really see the potential of this stock once the third telco goes live and they start accepting subscribers. But at the moment, for long-term investors, these these are the days, or this is the period where you should be accumulating because you're at the level where you see where you're only in the 3 pesos area. Okay, if it reaches the 3 pesos area, but my uh, support the support that I am looking at is around the 4.92 level, so it should not be broken. Let's just hope. Otherwise, do not enter yet when it goes further down because it can potentially reach the 3.64 area. And we're looking at the weekly chart, by the way. So that would mean not tomorrow, not the next week, but weeks or even months. But if you're a trader, let's see, same story. It might challenge this support area, but you can potentially have another bounce here within next week or in the next few weeks or in next few days because I am currently looking at the daily chart. Okay, how's everyone so far? See, fan. Did I look at MBT? Not yet. Did I skip? Let's see. MBT. I must have skipped some stocks. Now PPG, fan east to west. East west might hit this level. Okay, so those who are interested in east west, I have a feeling this will still further decline. For MBT is trying to challenge this area. This area, you're technically in a support area for MBT. And let's look at the RSI. Yep, Your RSI is giving us an upward direction, but very, the steepness is not that much for now. But just observe if you are interested in this stock. Oops, it's moving up. Enter near the 70 area. Okay. Did I talk about ABA? Okay, we could possibly have a good bounce for ABA. I mean, this is the pattern I want to see. Price is moving down, but RSI is slightly moving up. Okay, and now you have a green candlestick. But if this moves, it can move in the coming days, but this will act as your resistance, 0.96. Now, for us to confidently say that we are moving in an upward direction, price has to continue moving up and it has to break your MA20 line before you can say that, okay, this is a confirmed uptrend. Cost MPI, you have a good engulfing. This is an engulfing candle. This is what I was trying to say. This is a taller candlestick than the previous day. It's trying to engulf it. So it's a good sign. But look, MPI had a, this is really, so if you have entered around this area, because at one point it reached that area, so that is right off the bat 6 point around 6% movement for just one day. So normally if you have something like that within a day, it some people will take profit the next day. So it might rest in this area and might create a support in this level before it moves up again. So let's see if the market gives us a chance in this area. Otherwise, we might see a continuous upward movement. Now, if you want, what you can do here is wait. Okay, let's remove the drawing. If you want, you can wait for the MA20 line to be broken. Wait for it to be broken before you enter the stock, because we might not have, the downward movement might not be over yet, because we have not really broken that line. So let's try to check the another. So MA20, MA50, and then MA100. So this is what they call the AOTS. Oops, I'll add. So your 9 is color, say, yellow. Your 50 is colored pink. Your 100 uh 950. Your 20 is gone because it's the, this one is now going to be uh, green. So the, no, this is 20. Okay, so what we want to see is the yellow must be above green. Green must be above this purple, and then blue. Yellow, green, purple, blue. So we don't see that yet. So in AOTS, you need to see a MA. So the lower moving average has to be above the bigger moving average. So 9 has to be above MA20, and MA20 has to be above MA50. MA50 has to be above MA100. But in this situation, we have not reached that yet. Some traders will have to wait for that cue. They need to see that those colors before, or those that kind of arrangement before they get in. But right now you have the MA20 as the highest, and then MA50 next, and then MA9. So it's not, we're not seeing that ideal picture yet. Okay, so just be extra careful for this. But I don't want to use those because I don't like my chart to be noisy. So that's a bit noisy on for me, seeing a lot of lines. But here I only want to see this, and it works for me. This is my resistance. So if I want to enter, I just want to like haggle here. I have to make sure that I enter near the oversold area. Otherwise, I will have to wait till this line is broken and the action happens above the MA20 line, and I can say that, okay, we're in an upward direction. AC. Did I talk about AC? AC is trying to make a support here. Now, if you're interested, make sure you enter around that area. Same condition here. We're not in a very uh, stable level yet because you're moving below the MA20 line. But if you want to take advantage of this, make sure you're near the MA20, near the support area when you enter this stock. Okay, so let's talk about Meg. This is a hammer. This is an example of a hammer, and you're also near the oversold area. So if you're interested, you're already in a low risk position. But if you want to be conservative, you can wait for one more candlestick to confirm that. But this candlestick normally happens. This normally signifies the sign of reversal. Okay. So you can even make a condition, right? If you want, you can test it out around 5.33 area, or yeah, 5.39 to be safe. And then when the price is broken, then just exit. Don't wait till you see a 10% or an 8% negative um, on your stock before you go out. If 3 to 5%, if you already have a 3 to 5% loss, and you're just trading this, right? For example, you're trading this. You face the loss, or because that's the risk that you're facing each time you trade, and then go find another stock to engage in. But if you're in it as an investor, so it's a different story. When it goes further down, you wait for another signal, another sign of reversal, and then add some more shares. Okay. So I hope I'm able to help you guys. I hope I was able to answer your questions. If I'm not able to answer everything, uh, please bear with me. I can only do around 1 hour to 1 hour and 15 minutes of live analysis each night. And for those people, okay, so we can make this page interactive. I know some of you guys are already experts, but still are very active on this page. Please go ahead, share what you know. You can answer our newbies here and let them know your thoughts. And what I my only request for this page is, we just maintain a positive atmosphere, helping one another, because at one point all of us were new at one point. So be extra caring, and let's help one another grow our skill, improve our skill in technical analysis. In the meantime, thank you guys, and good night, happy Thursday, and hope to see you again, or no, chat with you again tomorrow. And stay safe. Thank you. Bye bye.